Oh, it's 9 o'clock. Call meeting to order. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Somebody want to make a motion to approve the agenda? That's just one addition. Right, Allison?
That's correct. So we're gonna add in today the request to approve the purchase of a John Deere 6130M mowing tractor along with the mower. And I think Brian may have explained that, but the reason for moving this up is that the price is gonna go up if we don't approve it today.
Right.
That'll be number 5 then?
Yes, we'll add that on as number 5, the last number.
Yep.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with that addition.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the previous minutes from the board meeting January 25th, 22.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
A motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Public comment. Okay, appointments. I have none. Consent agenda. Accept the donation. Do we have to make a motion to accept the agenda first or not?
Just a consent.
We'll just approve the consent. I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda with the K9 Foundation donation.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to accept the K9 donation. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. All right, action items we'll move to. Number 1, and that would be Mark. You want to come to the front?
Yeah.
All that off, there's an awful lot of stuff.
This one's actually pretty straightforward. It's the Howard, sorry. Hauler's licenses for solid waste, and we have 6 of them, and 5 of them got everything on in, and everything's good to go. The 6th one, Generation X, he submitted the check. He didn't submit the paperwork. Followed back up with him. Yeah, it's coming. Never came, and so we're like, so we're thinking maybe we just send the check back. You know, we haven't cashed the check because we. And so, but so 5 of them are ready to go for signature, and then the last one, I guess we could keep trying, but you know, he doesn't do a lot of work. He's basically, he does some demolition work, and so it's a case
That's
of,
why it needs to have that.
yeah, and so it's a case of we think he'll probably get it, but it's
Well, when he gets the stuff together, we'll approve it then, I suppose.
that's about what exactly. So that's basically what I got. So. Other than that,
The others appear to be in order as
Yep.
far as insurances and documentation as to their equipment.
Yep, everything I think is in good shape.
This is pretty routine. We do this.
Yes,
Mhm.
and we held back a couple of weeks. Normally these go a little earlier in January. We were kind of waiting for them. And it's kind of went back and forth. So
It's a good thing. I mean, years we went without approving their licenses, and we didn't know what was going on in the county.
I think for what it's worth, I think La Crosse County appreciates this too, in the sense that, you know, that you're showing
Yeah.
that you're certainly part of their system too. So,
It's expensive, it was $50.
yeah, no, it's not bad.
I'll make a motion to approve the license renewals,
Excluding Generation X.
excluding Generation X till the paperwork is in.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Approve everybody's license with Generation X. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried. You have a permit for me to sign for
They're in the process of writing that stuff.
Okay,
So as long as you got you here, about the advertisements for the land use plan and all that.
They went out, the stuff went. The web page is up. with
Okay.
The announcement, the stuff is going in the paper, the stuff is on the Minnesota Association of Counties, and we got on the National American Planning Association page too.
Okay,
And then I just sent this morning, I sent out about 7 consultants, and then I'm sending out another block of them after, next thing, that's when I'm headed back, I'm gonna put in the other one, so basically we got everything rounded out. Okay, and we'll see what we get back. And I did try to target the general firm, and then who I thought was. And then I sent it to some consultants that I know don't do the work, but I know they know people we don't know. So try to get a broader distribution and see what we get, so. And we'll see what we get.
Okay.
Some of them are, some of these pages are kind of national. And so I got a feeling what they're gonna do is they're gonna get a hold of me and say, I'm gonna say, well, you gotta realize we're gonna want somebody with some local presence. And so that'll be part of the, I'm guessing, part of the filter. that's gonna go along.
yeah, I don't know if we'll get much for national. Who knows, you might. but-
I don't know. If we do, that would be the one thing, so. So we'll see.
So these bids will be submitted written, right?
Right.
Okay,
Quotes.
quotes,
yes.
quotes, right, that's right. It's not bids.
Right, exactly. By March 1st, so. We'll know more here pretty quick. so.
Okay.
Anything else?
nope.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to number 2. Consider approving a grant agreement and a resolution with number 22-11. Authorization to execute the Minnesota Department of Transportation Airport Maintenance and Operation Grant Contract Amendment. Right.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. So at the airport, we have a maintenance and operation grant between Houston County and state of Minnesota. The grant is a 2-year grant that has funding allocated for each year. Due to some special federal COVID relief funding, we've had additional money coming in this last couple of years. So the maintenance and operation money was not fully spent. So the state of Minnesota is agreeing to recommending that we amend the grant to extend it from the original expiration date of June 30th, 2021, to have a new expiration date of May 6th, 2024. So essentially, all the other terms are staying the same, but we just moved that date back. So we have another 3 years to spend the money.
Good thing.
More questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve that grant.
So moved.
Motion. Second.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second to approve the grant. All in favor, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Okay, consider approving through mutual agreement with the IUOE Local 49ers.
She's not here yet.
Okay. We'll move-
Why don't we do Brian's?
Brian is here.
Well, I was gonna ask that question. We already did the 49ers, didn't we?
I thought I signed one for them.
Unless there's some change in the, what about because we had to go 3 years instead of 2? That's what I thought.
It's all printed in
I
here.
think it was just a template issue.
Well, anyway, let's do Brian's thing as long as
All
he's.
right, we'll move on to item number 5. Brian, your request for the purchase of a tractor, 6130 mowing tractor, along with a mower.
Yes, so each year after we get the new budget approved, we get quotes for all of our equipment purchases, usually in January. I'm in the process of, I have the majority of the equipment planning to come to the board next Tuesday for approval of all the items we have budget amounts for and quotes for. But we found out that the quote for the tractor expires on next Monday, February 7th. So if we wait till next Tuesday for approval, the price of that tractor is going to increase by 10%. So that'll be an increase of $9,895.96 if we waited till next Tuesday for approval on it. So my recommendation today is to approve the mower and the tractor for our equipment purchases. This is budgeted. If you look at the spreadsheet that was provided, the quote for this line item is $2,159.63 over our budget. What you don't see yet is the equipment budget as a whole, which the numbers I have are showing that we're actually going to come in pretty substantially under budget on our equipment line item. So I'll have that full number for you next week.
So Brian, why don't we lease this tractor?
So we have leased tractors in the past. We did a couple years of that. The issue usually becomes getting that tractor that you can lease year after year after year. There's no guarantee that you can do that lease the following year. And I guess I haven't talked to Chris about that on the lease of this tractor. If we can go that route again, I can try to see if he's in his office.
Well, the idea
before, yeah, what we did before, it worked for a couple of years, and we got into a snag like in year 3 of a lease, and it was just easier to go back away from that lease.
What do you mean you got into a snag?
I think there was an issue with, if I remember right, getting the tractor that we needed. Can't remember if it was they couldn't get the tractor at all, or if it was they couldn't get the size of the tractor for the equipment that we needed. There was an issue with.
So what'd you do then?
To be honest, 100%, I don't remember. It was several years ago when we did that.
Just so I understand, when we lease a tractor, we get a different tractor each year, or do we lease that tractor and that's the one we've got for 3 years?
Yes, no. So when you lease a tractor, what it's been is you lease it for essentially $1 an hour. If you cause any damage to that tractor, it's the county's responsibility to repair that damage. But then that tractor would get swapped out each year. So usually what would happen with that is that the implement would find someone they know is interested in purchasing that tractor. They lease the tractor out knowing that they're going to get that tractor back and sell it to someone else as a slightly used tractor. So we went that route. We did lease for a couple of years, and I'll apologize for this one for not getting into that lease in advance of today's meeting. Because it wasn't a bad deal when we leased it. When it worked out for the first couple of years. I know, and I'm pretty sure it was on year 3 that we ran into a snag, and the other counties that were doing leases for tractors kind of got into that same type of snag where they had difficulty getting those tractors to lease.
Well,
but I just don't recall.
That may be a case now with the shortages, but the idea of the lease was to have a new tractor every year. It's under warranty. You had less all you had to maintain was the oil and the service of it and the fuel. But it was less outlay for, instead of spending $130,000, you just make the lease payment every year. So I thought we leased some tractors from the local implement here before.
Yes, like I said, we did. It's been, I don't think we leased the last 2 or 3 years. I think we leased maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I don't recall fully. If you want, I can try to get that answer, come back. If you want to put this back onto the bottom of the agenda, I can try to figure out what that
Well, I was just wondering if we were continuing that program, or we're just going to say we're just buying them now and then driving them till they're dead, or
I think it's definitely an option that we want to consider exploring. I'm definitely not going to say that we don't want to entertain leasing them, because it did work out for us. I know we did have some repairs on it above and beyond the dollar an hour in minimum maintenance. There was some stuff that was a little bit above and beyond a normal routine type of maintenance, but it wasn't major.
What's the longevity of a unit like this nowadays?
This is replacing a 1991 tractor, so a tractor that we've used for 31 years. The old tractor probably is worth about $10,000. We'd like to keep it because it does have a boom mower on it, so we can mow behind guardrail and stuff like that with it. So that'll, essentially just stay there as a tractor to use just for those boom mowing type of operations. But typically, yeah, we should be able to get that, 25, 30 years out of it.
You may not have this information, but what's the approximate lease per year been? So much an hour you were saying, but you have any idea what it used to be?
Yeah, it was $1 an hour is what the lease was for. Up to, I believe, like $450 or 450 hours in a year. So it was, $450 or $500 or so or less per year. But then there is we had to do some stuff to add additional protection. So we added some additional fiberglass to protect some areas from damage. We had some repairs, and I'd have to pull out to see exactly what the cost is that our ultimate amount per year was. And I could probably run those numbers pretty quick and get them back to you before the board meeting is done. If you want to table this, I can get complete numbers for you.
Yeah, why don't we just hold this for a while? You go get some numbers and we'll get to you before we quit.
Okay. If that works for everyone,
All
I'll.
right, are you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, then let's table it for now. Then we'll go to number 3 since Tess is here. Approving through a mutual agreement with the IUOE. I think the local 49 we did already. That at a current 21 to 23 agreement expires 12/31/21. And approve the purpose proposed 22 to 24 labor agreement between Houston County and the Law Enforcement Labor Services, local 237.
Thank you, Commissioner, and good morning. And my apologies, it is not the local 49. The MOA and the contract before you is the Law Enforcement Labor Services for number 237. The first matter is a preference by the union, by LALS, instead of to incorporate the language in a contract, which is what we did for IUOE to terminate the previous agreement and move forward. We have an MOA, memorandum of agreement, to terminate the 21 through 23 agreement, since by statute we can only have 3-year agreements, and to approve the agreement for 2022 through 2024. The general terms of the agreement are with across-the-board adjustments of 2%, 3%, and 3% for each respective year. And then we pretty much it. We didn't have a lot of language changes with the details. We updated the insurance, obviously, and that was about it.
The only language changes should be like the new pay grid. And the insurance thing, and the extending it to 3 years and get rid of the old 2-year one.
And, change the dates throughout the contract.
Yep.
So
No other additions or subtractions.
We did have the inclusion of language that
That one issue.
We redlined one employee
Right.
until, due to a previous MOA, with the union as a result of a involuntary demotion. And so we addressed that as language. We also had to address the conversion of our investigators and our sergeants who were never on a line grid as to how those persons would fold into the new pay system. And so they are now, the deputies are C42s and they are C43s with an agreement that the C43s as supervisors would always make above the deputies that, I shouldn't say supervisors, they're lead patrol and lead sergeants. So all of their language are correct. And we really appreciated the tenor of the negotiations. It was very professional, very respectful. We had a lot to wrestle down. We were able to do that and move forward.
I make a motion, we approve the mutual agreement with the LALS 237.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the agreement. Any more discussion?
Is this like approving an MOU or is this just approving the contract? The new
It is
contract.
both, I would assume, in one, to terminate the one contract and to move forward with the other 3-year agreement.
So should we do that in separate motions or can we combine that?
It doesn't matter to me so long as it's on the record that you're approving the
I'll
MOA.
I'll rephrase my motion to say to cancel out the 2-year agreement to the new 3-year agreement.
The current agreement to the
Yep.
3-year.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion?
This reference to the IOU or IUOE is just to,
That's a typographical.
gotcha, okay.
clerical-
That is for the
clerical, not
49ers,
typographical,
but
clerical.
we already
We did
approved
that.
that here a while ago.
Okay, very good.
Mhm.
Everybody
It should read mutual agreement with LALS.
Mhm.
That's all we're talking.
Which
Right.
does in the second half.
That's what I have.
Everybody happy with this, the way it is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay.
Just by way of reminder, the negotiating committee will be meeting with unit LALS 415 today after this meeting. I believe that's on your calendars. And we will have, if we are successful today, I assume we'll have a similar MOA. And then with a 3-year agreement coming forward. And so I'm not sure what today will yield, but we have that. We're also in looking at working with LALS Unit 60. And I will be calling the negotiating team together to talk about the a potential tentative agreement with them with similar terms.
Are those the last two to finish
Yeah,
here?
Nathan
I
asked.
think there's some others.
Nathan asked me,
Okay.
and Nate will be, we've made a proposal to them that's, they're taking into consideration right now. AFSCME will be going to mediation. And I can't recall if we have a mediation date set on that or not. I
Yeah.
believe we do. We
18th,
do on that one, yes.
18th, right?
Yeah,
So hopefully we'll be able to tie these up very shortly.
Okay, any more questions? We'll move on to 4. Consider carrying forward 88.3 lost hours of a carried vacation balance from 2021 to 2022 for Mary Betts, the recorder.
Yes, as you may recall, as you well know, the Mary Betts was appointed last year during the absence of the previous recorder. During that time period, we were also, I believe, down one deputy recorder. Mary was subsequently approved as appointed as a, I won't call him interim, but to take over the balance of the term of by the previous incumbent. During that, Mary was originally a member of ASME. Their accrual, at the time she took over, her accrual rates would have been that she could carry forward up to 2 years, the equivalent balance of up to 2 years. So the day she took over, she was already over the balance then of the non-represented. And we were asking her to take over that at a time when there was a lot of flux in the department and a lot of demand on her time. And she has assured me she will work through these hours and work it down. But I think I highly recommend that we do this carry forward for her because she was in a very difficult situation. She understands that it was something that possibly should have caught before the change of the year, but between the two policies for carry forward, it just didn't get on her radar, and it would have resulted in the same situation. Either way, she was just not going to be able to take that time.
Well, it's kind of hard to take time off when there's only 2 people in the office.
And when you're asked to fill in on an emergency because of another situation. So I respectfully request that she's credited with that now.
Don't imagine any luck finding Dar's replacement yet, have you?
Not yet. We're not quite to that point yet.
Is there a use by timeframe requirement on this? I mean,
No, but if
She's
she
already
doesn't use
maxed
it,
out.
she will.
and accruing more, so I mean, to use up to say 88 hours, is there a time frame that it has to be done by, or?
She won't have a second bite of the apple. Let's put it that way. So it's this calendar year.
Okay.
She has to have her
This is a one-time exception
one
to
time,
get,
and she has to have them down. She has plenty of notice. She needs to be able to plan and do that, or she will lose the hours. She's fully aware of that.
See, Mary's on, does she have anything to add?
Do you have anything to add, Mary?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, good morning. I guess Tess really stated it, kind of what the situation was. I appreciate your consideration for this one-time extension.
you have to mute Mary.
Can you still hear me?
Whoever came on the line right there is one that's caused.
Yeah, the 725-3925. I wonder if it was that, I think.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm.
We need to ask who that is.
We need to ask who that is. Brian, is that you on 3925?
Is it Mark England?
No.
Is it Mark England on the phone?
No, that's Brian's cell phone, 3925. No, that's the highway department. Or highway department?
That's the main line.
Yeah. Mute the highway department. Can we do that?
Donna, can you mute the highway?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Mary, you can talk.
Hang on.
Thank you. I guess I was just saying I would appreciate your consideration of this one-time carryover. Thank you.
Any more discussion? Entertain a motion to carry forward 88.3 lost hours.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Go ahead, Teresa.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you. And on Mr. Chairman, I will have those documents ready for your signature. Close of your meeting today.
Okay, I'll just wait here. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Very good.
All right, you ready, Brian, or?
Yes, I'm ready, and I got Chris on as well with me. He's in his office, but he's on. So we leased tractors in 2016 and 17. We tried in 2018, but they didn't have any tractors to give us at that time, which is when we ultimately got our last tractor replacement. So we haven't had a need to lease a tractor since that time without selling one of our existing ones or to have it sit there. And 2016, our cost was $731 for the tractor. 2017, $1,331.20. That's for the tractor. We replaced a window and mirrors that got damaged. Along with there's some, oil change and filter stuff we had on that. So, between those 2 years, we averaged a little over $1,000 per year on those leases. Like I said, 2018 is when they didn't have a tractor to give us. There was some changes to that lease program that we ran into at that point. So I did ask Chris as far as if he, checked into leasing and how this tractor is set up. So, if Chris wants to chime in, he can kind of explain that end of things. And Chris, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Donna, we need to unmute him.
Well, Donna, can you unmute Chris Hartley?
Well, there's two lines that are muted. Chris
Yeah.
Hartley and then
Yeah,
3925.
it's the phone line that needs to be unmuted.
Okay, Donna, you're gonna have to unmute the phone line 3925.
Yeah, I'm trying it and doesn't seem to be working here.
Andy.
Can
Otherwise,
the phone line just quick call back?
Call back.
Because if they
go ahead.
come in as new, they wouldn't be muted initially.
Or otherwise, is it star 68?
Star six, isn't it? I believe it's star six, Chris. If you hit star six. There you go.
There we are.
Yeah,
There
there
you
you
go. We can hear you, Chris.
All right, so in 2016-17, those were $1 lease through CNH, and they do not offer those any longer. The other thing with this tractor is this is set up for mowing with a hydraulic pump in the front of the tractor and hydraulic tanks on it and everything, so it's not a quick change mower like these tractors were set up for.
So the idea is to keep this tractor for a long time then? You're not going to trade it off every 3 years or?
No, with the setup on this tractor, it's going to be a long-term keep on
Investment.
Eventually, yeah, long-term investment, and it's also going to be set up to eventually take our boom mower roles as well. So the hydraulic pump and the tank and everything will be on there. It'd just be a quick bolt on with the boom mower, but the boom mower is another substantial cost.
That old case, that 31-year-old case one.
Yep, that's what we use for boom mower now, and that's a real pain to get the boom on and off it. So we'd like to just leave that here with the boom on it for now until we can afford to upgrade this newer tractor with a newer boom on it down the road.
Okay, just thank you for the clarification. I was just wondering about that. What RDO, was this a state bid then, Brian?
This is actually an Iowa state bid, which is a better price than the Minnesota state bid.
Okay.
So back in 18, there was unable to get a tractor because of unavailable.
Yeah, they kind of quit that $1. It was like $1 an hour lease thing that CNH had, and they don't offer that any longer. And there again, they won't work for this tractor setup with all the stuff that's added to it.
Because of what this tractor does, it's got to have that hydraulic pump in the front and the tank and all that, and it's pretty much,
Correct.
yeah, a permanent deal.
A specialty item, maybe.
Yep, specialty use.
Yep.
They're only using probably 500 hours a year, so it should last a few years, I would think.
I was just wondering why it was purchased at RDO. They must have had the low quote or whatever because, instead of through the local.
They work with the mowing company, the mowers, the Diamond Mower Company. They work
Okay.
together with the install. It all comes installed as one unit.
Oh, it's a unit. All right.
State bid deal.
They don't do any leasing now?
I missed that.
They don't do any leasing now? You can't get a lease?
Yeah, so we don't do any leasing, and that's what I recall too, is back in that 2018 when that change took place, it wasn't just us, it was other counties that ran into that same issue with not being able to lease tractors. So so we don't have anything. Looking at our 5-year plan, we don't have any additional tractors on that to be replaced in the next 5 years either. So this is our one tractor purchase request for the foreseeable future.
How come in the old lease, how come it was a different tractor every year? I mean, loaders used to be, if I remember right, you'd lease a loader for $15,000 a year and you had and turned it in.
Yeah.
How come tractors are different?
It was a different program that's the program that was out there for leasing tractors. It was on a 1-year rotation where the loaders, your motor graders and stuff, they were leased on a 3-year. I think you could also done like a 4-year or even a 5-year lease. But it was just a different program that a different supplier manufacturer had at that time.
They don't have that type of program for tractors.
No.
Okay.
Probably because of the shortage situation, all those good deals go away.
Well, I mean, if you were a guy, an implement dealer, I would rather sell it than lease it for $1,000 a year. I mean, that don't make, you can't make any money doing that, I would think. But
It was a good deal for us.
it was a
It's a
great
great
deal
deal for us.
yeah. But I could see why they're not doing it anymore, because I wouldn't want to send out a brand new tractor for $1,000 a year. So I know what they're using it on as a mower, and there's shit flying all over with a mower.
Depends on where you're going.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff. I gotta learn to refrain.
See if that's in the paper.
Yeah, keep that out with you.
But anyway,
You're on tape. Okay.
Any
All
more
the
discussion?
discussion aside, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the tractor mower, which is in the budget, and to approve it now rather than waiting till next week to save that almost $10,000.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to purchase a new tractor. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Motion carries.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
All right, now we'll go to board updates. The road chair, I think you need. I just talked to Brian a little bit about our highway shop. And we need to have a meeting, I think, Eric. I haven't had any other meetings come up. I guess I don't have a lot to report on.
Do we have a timeline on these doors that we've been waiting on for months?
I was told we got part of the doors and more coming, but we haven't got the iron or the springs or the hinges. We got the door panels.
But we don't have the hardware.
The hardware is
Okay.
supposedly coming maybe Friday or next week.
Okay, that was kind of what we said last
Yeah.
Tuesday or next week.
The last 3-4 months, actually.
Yeah,
The hardware's always been the issue.
yeah.
And I don't know if you were here when I was talking about earlier today, we got leaks coming through the wall where the seal went down. We set the steel on top of the cement. We got several leaks and it's.
Air leaks.
And they're running around caulking them, and I don't know what to think of that. Who's gonna do that every 2 years? In a $6.4 million building, and we got air leaks.
Should have had some good sealant around that when they put the,
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't understand that.
No, that's a warranty issue. They're gonna have to
by
address
all
it.
means.
Right.
Is it late to know, did the specs call for anything? I don't
I
know.
assume so.
You would
I
think-
don't
You
know.
would think.
You would think,
We should have a meeting with Weezers and talk about it.
look into it.
I told Brian to get one lined up for us, so.
Because there's some change order requests coming up too, possibly, so we gotta see.
We'll go back to the fencing company and see if we could get something off on it.
He's got questions out there. He hasn't got an answer yet to them.
So that's about all I got for right now, I guess. How about you, Teresa?
The only meeting I had at the end of the month was the joint Board of Health,
Okay.
which we were on Zoom with, or WebEx, I guess. Since we were all there, we don't have to have too much reported on it.
Yeah,
We should all have been paying attention.
Yes.
Well, I know one thing, if I wouldn't have been sitting here, I wouldn't have got it at home. No way. I just can't get that web link in out there from
that WebEx system, I just,
it's a lot harder to get into too, ain't
And
it?
Zoom, I agree with you
because
there.
I was having difficulty, if you notice, I
Yeah.
popped up a couple of times, I'd lose it, so now I'll do the deal, and
I know.
all of a sudden, I'm up there 3 times, and I.
We only let you vote once. so-
Well, yeah. But you saw my name there, and I said, and then I got the echo, I think, one time.
You should get a set of headphones
I got them there, and I finally
and
utilized them there. Yeah, it's a bummer.
How about you, Bob? What do you got?
The only meeting I attended last week was the Selco Cells Board meeting. Discussion about ongoing projects, future projects. And then different library things that they're promoting.
Was it a Zoom meeting?
It
or
was
in
a Zoom
person?
meeting,
Oh, good.
still Zoom, not in person yet. They haven't said when they're gonna go back to in person, but
Where do you have to go for them if it's in person?
Rochester.
I thought,
But that's all I've got, is just the one meeting I had last week. Got a bunch of them next week.
yeah, I don't have it and nothing to report either. I didn't have any meetings except for the joint Board of Health. So I have nothing to report.
And now you're gonna have a bunch of negotiation.
yeah. Well, the same thing, it was just the joint meeting and pretty quiet down in.
End of the month is always the quietest.
Yeah, I went to the city meeting last week, but they were just going through their licensing thing similar to what we just did. So, not much else.
Anybody got anything they want to discuss? Well, we got some time. Any matters coming up or?
I guess just to remind me, there's still 4 groups, got the 2 that you're gonna meet on now, and then 2 that are, she was commenting.
There's a total of 6 and we got
Left to
2
do?
done.
No. 6 total unions, but
Yeah.
we've approved 2.
That's what I thought,
So we got 4 officially left.
4 left.
The Ask Me one is just going to mediation.
That's
so-
the one that she was commenting,
But
but
the other 3 should, hopefully we'll get something done here shortly.
because you're meeting later today with.
Today with the 415 and then work on the
Yeah, is that okay with you?
60.
Okay,
Okay.
And maybe
started it.
has,
Finish it.
I thought so.
I don't know if they voted yet or not, but
So we're in the workings of it. It's just,
yeah,
it's time consuming.
well, yeah.
And there was, I think the grid slowed this up, right? I mean,
Well,
people
Hopefully
concerned.
our goal is to get the 5 of them done before the mediation meeting. My goal, I should say.
Yeah. I think it makes sense.
You got extension meeting this Thursday, Teresa?
Yes, 7 o'clock. It's in person or Zoom.
Mhm.
Why do they send all the extension information to all of us?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not on that committee, but
Yeah, I can get that too.
That way you're informed, Bob.
They
You're in the
probably
loop.
just want you to know.
yeah, okay.
We're in the know.
Get out of the loop.
Our regional director is a great communicator.
Allison, you got anything you would like to discuss with us?
Not at the meeting.
We got a EDA meeting tomorrow,
We did.
Yep.
tomorrow morning at
8:05.
8:05.
Yeah, there it is.
I should probably announce that there's Timeless Creations in Houston. They're going to grand openings coming up.
10-11
Was
o'clock.
that?
Timeless creation.
Oh,
They're the ones who got the EDA loan last
Right.
year.
Yeah.
And so not this weekend, but the following weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday is when they're opening. And yes, swing down if you can. And actually, now that I'm thinking of it, other good news, Houston County did receive the childcare grant that I authored.
Oh, yeah.
First Children's Finance will be coming in starting this summer. They'll be meeting with the core team that we've already established of it's a big group of over 20 individuals from throughout the county that are interested in childcare needs. And hopefully you still will allocate some ARPA money to childcare. And I think they'll be able to come up with a good plan as to how to best use those dollars. So it was a competitive grant and we're excited that we got it. Good. So should help us here.
How long does that process take?
It could take up to, I think around 18 months.
So
So
it's a year and a half
mhm.
in the works, okay.
But you're not starting until,
July. I mean, I'm gonna meet with them initially already next month, but I think they thought July would be a good kickoff time. And I can't speak for sure for them, but I think part of it is that they're hoping that we can actually meet in person by then. So
Is there a deadline on the length of that grant to have to be used by a certain time or?
So it's not actually a grant for money. It's a grant for their services, which we really do need here. So they're gonna come in and talk to us. It'll be, a lengthy process. They'll do research, they'll talk to the community, and they'll help us come up with a plan of what to do. And if you continue to keep those ARPA dollars allocated, that would be great, because then we'll actually have some money to work with and not have to, fundraise or do something like that if they come up with a project where funding is needed, which most likely they will. It will open up the opportunity for if we do want to apply for a grant for actual dollars in the future also. But that ARPA money would be a great start. So that's my plug for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Donna, did you get all your questions answered on this banking thing?
Yes, commissioners, I got my final answer this morning from Merchants Bank, and I'm going to send it to Sam Carroll, and then Sam will be sending all you commissioners sorry, I thought I had my video on. He'll be sending all you commissioners an email with his recommendation. So hopefully today, So I'm just going to work on that email now and get him the rest of the information. Yep.
This will be on next week's agenda.
Yep.
Action item.
Action item. Yeah.
Mhm. Could be.
Is anybody thinking of going to that legislative conference in St. Paul, March 2nd and 3rd, or from Houston County? I think we have to register by, I don't know what the date was anymore.
Donna, you have the registration form for that?
I don't, but I could look it up. Is that through AMC, Teresa?
Yes.
Yeah, I could get it for you. I don't have it available at my fingertips, but if you want it, I can get it. And
I got it on my schedule for the second county day at the Capitol.
Yeah.
second, okay.
2nd and 3rd is 2 days of the conference.
Can't be there for both days.
Well, no.
If you find it, Donna, register me anyway.
Okay, gotcha. Anybody else?
I think I'm gonna go too, but I'll probably go for both days.
I'll register for both days and we'll.
I can always back.
Okay. So Bob and Teresa, so far, anybody else?
I'll keep you posted when I get back to my calendar.
so will I.
I'll send you an email too.
Okay.
Anybody else got anything we want to talk about today? Well, then I guess we can probably check to see if there's anything in the closing for public comment.
Nope, there's nobody on the public.
Well, I guess we can have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes.